What's up, Foundation? What's up, YouTube? Man, it's me, your big partner, Cartoon 5'3". Man, I'm back again. You can tell from the title about somehow how this pretty much gonna go. I ain't gonna beat around the bush, man. I'm diving in head first with some swim flippers on, man. Listen, when I first got locked up in Alabama, man, that was in 1996. Wasn't no Mexicans in the whole Alabama prison system. Not a one. The only one was my crime partner, my homeboy from my set from LA. The homie No Good. They thought he was a white boy. They didn't even know what he was. They thought the homie was a white boy. Boy, he used to get mad about that. Because he was straight him out quick. Man, I'm a Mexican, man. What y'all talking about? They heard of that and all this and that. Of course, they wasn't hip, though. They just really wasn't hip, man. Now, of course, they somewhat knew what Mexicans were. You know, see them on TV and stuff. But as far as rubbing elbows with them and really just, interacting with them, no. The city of Birmingham and the surrounding most of the cities, the state, you could almost say the state of Birmingham at that time. The state of Alabama at that time back then was none but black and white. Number black and white. When I got locked up in Alabama, I had been in prison at least 10 years before I saw a Mexican, other than my homeboy. He excluded, because I don't even consider him Mexican. You know what I'm saying? He Avalon, that's what he is. But anyway, it was at least 10 years before I saw a Mexican, period. And I remember the first time I seen one, blowed my wig back. I'm like, dang. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, the city of Birmingham, they weren't there like that. But now, of course, what I tell y'all all the time, don't none remain the same but change. So change was coming. Change was coming. However, I can't tell you the demographics on how the state of Alabama and the city of Birmingham started changing, but it did. Mexicans or Hispanics, because y'all know we'll call a El Salvadorian a Mexican. We will call a Guatemala a Guatemalan a Mexican. We'll call anything that look or talk like them. We'll just lump it all into one big thing and say Mexicans. And that's not the case. That's not the case at all. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's what we do. Same way we see different Asian groups. We don't know. We can't tell it apart. They all look the same. Boom. We just call them all Asians, which that's pretty much what they are. Same way some people say all blacks look the same. But, of course, 9 times out of 10, all blacks are originally from the same area. Not so with most other races. Anyway, like I say, it was at least 10 years before I saw a Mexican locked up in the Alabama State prison system. The Alabama State prison system was 75% black, 25% white. That was it, and that's all. To this day, I think I might have seen one out of my whole 23 years that I did. I think I might have seen one Asian dude or one dude that could be considered some type of Asian. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, no, nothing else. That black and white. It's the deep South, y'all. So look, listen. When the Mexicans finally started coming in, they was low man on the totem pole. I'm just gonna, they, whoever gonna be offended. I'm just calling it like what it is, what it was. You know what I'm saying? They were the low man on the totem pole because they were the shortest, not in stature, but in numbers. You know what I'm saying? You got a whole prison that might hold 1,500 people, and you got let's say 1,100 blacks, 399 whites, and 1 Mexican. That's pretty much what it was. That's what it was. So now, dealing with the numbers game like that, you got to factor in the predatoristic mindset of dudes in prison. You know what I'm saying? Everybody looking for a come up. Everybody looking for somebody that they can prey on. And if you in a whole prison and it's just one of you, you pretty much gonna get it. You pretty much gonna get it. And that's how it went for many years. For many years, I would see that. They was breaking in their locker boxes, taking their stuff. Pretty much, dude would go to the store. If they started out stealing it at first, then it was just outright just taking it. Just outright taking, man, give it here, right? What is he gonna do other than, pick up a knife and catch him a serious case? The first little go round, the first few years, I didn't see none in there like that because they was getting handled. They was getting handled rough, man. Each year that went by though, they numbers started increasing to where it now is, instead of 1, it was 2. Now instead of 2, it was 3. And that was only in some prisons. They weren't in the maximum level prisons, period. The max camps, the max prison, no, they wasn't there, period. They weren't doing nothing. They wasn't cutting up that bad on the street to where they was getting sent to the maximum security prisons. They were in the lower level prisons. That's why I didn't see them. I had to do my first 10, 12 years in the max before I start going down to the lower level prisons. And that's when I seen the first one. When I went to a lower level prison, I seen the little SA dude. I'm like, oh, man, hold up, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Okay, all right, boom. Anyway, they was getting handled, homie. Getting handled bad. Couldn't keep nothing, couldn't have nothing. It was just bad, man. It was bad. And it is what it is, homie. The numbers game was rough. The numbers game was rough. Time goes on. Like I say, as each year start passing by, more and more start coming in because the Hispanic population, the Mexican population in the streets or in the state of Alabama was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, namely in the city of Birmingham. You know what I'm saying? The numbers were increasing on the streets. And so with that, I guess they start getting into more and more trouble, and more of them start coming to jail. More and more start getting locked up. So anyway, excuse me, y'all. Anyway, so I used to have a lot of conversations with the dudes that I was locked up with concerning them. And they would ask me that, a lot of dudes would come to me because they knew I was from California, they knew I was from LA, and ask me about the Mexicans. Hey, and too, I was, yeah, man, where I'm from, we got a whole lot of them. In fact, there's more of them than it is us. So they were like, yeah, man, so, they would ask me certain stuff. I'd tell them. They'd ask me about situations in prison out there with them, and I would explain to them how it went in the prison system, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know what I'm saying? The whole hook 'em. They were like, what? Yeah. Now, when I would get with, I might be on an iron pile. Now, on certain, whatever prison I might have been in at the time, I'm on the iron pile with what we call the Cali car. You know what I'm saying? All the homies that's from California, no matter what part of California, no matter what you represented, if you was from California, we all hung together. We was the Cali car. So we used to be on the iron pile, and then the majority of people that was from the Cali car, they, of course they was from Southern California. So we had all been like in prison, YAs and all that. So anyway, We used to be talking, man. I'll never forget, man. I was holding a conversation one time with my partner, dude named Joker from VNG, Van Ness Gangster Brims. And he had been to prison several times in Cali. I'd been to prison several times in Cali, and we used to just talk because we had just seen this one little Mexican guy. He got his store took. Let me get that. You know what I'm saying? I seen it. I just shook my head. You know what I'm saying? Where the little Mexican dude was from, I don't know. Didn't care. So, wasn't my business. Me and him, we sitting there, we talking. I say, man, boy, I say, listen. I say, this is me and Joker talking now. I say, boy. I say, man, these cats out here, boy, they just don't know, huh? He was like, no, man, they don't know. So, we all talking. I'm like, man, imagine. Now, by this time, I've been locked up long enough to understand the inner workings of the mindset of the cats that I was locked up with out here in Alabama, and how the demographics of the prison, how it worked, how they worked, what they was on. So, boom, I pretty much knew them. So me and Joker, we talking one day, like I said, on the iPod, we just seen a little Mexican cat get his store took. So like, dang, what? I'm telling you, I say, man, imagine about 50 of them Mexicans that we was in the Cali prison with. They just dropped them out here in a bus. Just rode the bus up, about 50 of them. Now I ain't talking about them Pisces. I ain't talking about the Border Brothers. No, I ain't talking about none of them. No, I'm talking about the ones who was getting down for their grits and gravy in that prison system. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, boy, look here, hey. I say, boy, look, they'll be like, I say, they'll trip. They would trip. I say, because they might see a little different story, He was like, yeah. So we used to have them type of conversations all the time, man. Talk about, that type of stuff when we see it going on, happening. Boom. Time going on, man. I end up being transferred years and years later to different prisons. And like I say, I start seeing the Mexican population get bigger and bigger. It would go for me, seeing one, then seeing two. As time went on, I might go over here to this prison. They got 5. Might be over here in this prison. They got 8. Stuff like that. And like I say, each year that started passing by, they numbers was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But still in all, their numbers were never going to reach the level of the blacks or the whites. It just wasn't gonna happen. Not no time soon, at least. Now, you 15, 20, 30 years down the line, I don't know, because I ain't gonna be up in there. But hey, at the rate it's going, the numbers probably would have changed 15 years from now. But anyway, their numbers started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Which didn't make the brothers no difference, though. They still was on some BS. You know what I'm saying? They was gonna push the radio. They wasn't tripping. They looked at them, them little cats as inferior and scary, and however it was. That's how they looked at them. Especially, like I say, brothers had the numbers. Anyway, time goes on, man. Some years pass by. I end up about 2016 hit. I end up in a prison called Limestone. What tripped me out is when I went to the yard, I got there, boom, I put my stuff up, came back out. I ended up going back out to the yard. They had a full-blown soccer game going. What? When I tell you they had a full-blown soccer game going. I'm like, what? It was like a 8-on-8, something like that. 8-on-8 or 9-on-9. All Mexicans. Might have been one or two white dudes out there at the time. Wasn't no blacks. All Mexicans. And I'm like, dang, I'm telling the dude I'm walking with, I'm like, dang, homie. I said, man, there's a gang of Mexicans up here. He's like, oh, yeah, it's more than that. He said they play soccer every night. Now, if y'all reflect back on some of my videos, I told y'all when I was in the pen, I was playing soccer a lot. This where it was. I play soccer with him. Boom. So I'm like, oh, for real? I'm like, dang, I say, gang up at this one. Now, of course, Limestone is the biggest prison in the state of Alabama. That's the biggest one. So, you know, they got room for a whole lot. I think it hold like maybe, I think 3,000 people, something like that. So anyway, they had what I considered for Alabama, a large population of Hispanics here. To be honest with you, they was every bit about 25 deep. They was every bit about 25 deep, man. So now I done went from in 1996 to what's that, 20 years later in 2016. Boo, from not seeing none to hitting the yard, and it's about 25 of them. Show you how things change, you know? So, like, okay. The brothers were still playing games with them, though. They wasn't just outright robbing them no more, but they was stealing from them. They was breaking in their boxes, breaking in their locker boxes, stealing their stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, these weren't the type of Mexicans that I was used to being around in Cali. These were like, wasn't no cholos, put it like that. Was not one cholo, period, in the whole group. Wasn't no gangster type gang banging Mexican in the whole group, period. Never. It was a lot of paisas, a lot of border brothers. You know what I'm saying? They passive. They were kind of passive. You know, they don't look for trouble. They don't want no trouble. They get to themselves and they do what they do. They kick it with each other. They break bread with each other, and they do their thing. And I ain't gonna lie, they are very respectful little people. You know what I'm saying? They not finna disrespect you. They not finna step on your toes. They not finna try to cheat you out of nothing. They not finna try to beat you out of nothing. They don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Those little essays like that don't get out like that, man. They not raised that way. They don't come up in that type of environment to where you gotta, you know, they produce that cutthroat type mentality. They don't get out like that. So anyway, you know, dudes would be doing business with them and, you know, cheating them and, you know, lying to them, borrowing stuff from them, acting like they was gonna pay it back and wouldn't pay it back and boo boo boo. And the little essays was just taking it on the chin, bang, taking it on the chin, bang, taking it on the chin, you know? And I seen it. I over the last few years, I would see it and be like, you know, hey, it's on them. So in this prison, when I'd been there by this time, maybe about 7 months. By this time, I done started playing soccer and, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, getting to know him by name and, pretty cool thing. Boy, I played soccer every night. It was good for my cardio. You know what I'm saying? Kept my heart rate up. Good for my exercises and all that. You feel me? I would lift weights during the day. And then at the last yard after dinner, I'd go out there with the Mexicans and run up and play soccer. So you got to understand, boy, it went from not have, they prison system went from not having no Mexicans, period, to here it is 20 years later, they got their own little soccer field now. Things change. Man, look here, man. One day, they broke in the little Mexican dude's locker box. I don't remember. Matter of fact, I was going to say, I don't remember where he was from, what part of Alabama or what part of the country he was from. I don't know. I know his little nickname was Pepe. They called him Pepe, P-E, something like that. Pepe, Lil Pepe. They had broke in Lil Pepe's box and stole his stuff. Stole his stuff, man. And to me, you know, I've been seeing it like a natural occurrence. Whatever they stole, it had to be of some importance, because they was tired. They wasn't going for it this time, y'all. They wasn't going for it. No, nope, 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 nope. And it was one of the little Mexican dudes that was there. He wasn't no cholo. He wasn't no Chicano gangbanging, LA Chicano like in LA, but he was from LA. I had talked to him a few times, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't the type. He was just from the LA area. He wasn't no gangbanger like that, but he come up in the LA area. So of course, coming up in the LA area like that, you're gonna have a certain mentality. He hadn't been there but maybe about a month and a half. Boom. And he played soccer real good. He played soccer very, very well. And he had been there about a month and a half. But his way of thinking and his ideologies was a little bit different from all the little Mexican cats that was already there. He come up in a different environment, because most of all the little Mexicans that was there was getting locked up in Alabama. But this one little Mexican cat, he had got locked up in Alabama, but he was originally from LA. But he wasn't the Chicano. He was on the Paisa side. Boom. I can't prove it, but I know it was him, because I had held enough conversations with him on the soccer field to know his way of thinking was different. I know he pumped hard into him. He had to. It had to have been him, because they flipped. They went in flip mode, man. They went in flip mode. This is what happened. Dude broke in Pepe box, man, and took his stuff. The essays, it came out. The Mexicans, it came out, and they had been going to different dudes on the yard about it. You know, trying to get whatever was stole back. Whatever was stole, man. This was the straw that broke the camel back. The one Mexican dude, he come to me. And I told him, I say, man, I don't know nothing about it, homie. I said, man, I can't really help you on this. I ain't got nothing to do with it. I don't know. You know, I don't live over there. He was like, all right. And he left. Came to me respectful by himself. But they were going to a lot of different dudes. I didn't think nothing of it. To me, it was going to be the same thing it always been. You know what I'm saying? Them getting used and abused as usual out here in Alabama State Prison. No, not this time, homie. Not this time. Somehow, some way, they found out who did it. It was a dude who lived over there in that block. Him, and it was another dude who lived in another block. They went over there and did what they did, blah, blah, blah. Somebody had seen it. Somebody on the low told it now. Now, when the yard opened back up, boom, they came out. And when they came out, man, when I tell you, they came out ready. When I tell you, man, them little Mexicans came out ready. Man, they had on their state coats, they state hats, they had on some gloves, and all of them had on state boots. It's like the comedy show that the boy Ali Sadiq say, Mexican got on boots. Well, Mexicans had on boots this day, y'all. And bang, they came out, man, and they went over to that other block. Because the dude that was living in the block where it happened at, he was kicking it over here in this other block. Man, all of them. Look, if it was 20 Mexicans in that prison, all 20 of them came. If it was 25 of them, all 25 of them came. No man was left behind. They had the mentality of, man, you're going to have to whoop or hurt all of us today, because we not going for this no more. No more. When they came out, man, they went over there to that block and they come up in there. Poof. They come up in there. Now word spread real quick, man. Dudes would come to the block. Hey, man, over there in such and such block, man, every Mexican in the camp just went in there, man. And they looked like they finna go. It looked like, what? Man, dudes was jumping up, leaving out wherever they was, coming up there, and they was going, because, looky loo and no. Not to, participate, but to looky loo. Some of them might have been wanting to participate. I don't know. I went over there to looky loo. I want to see. You goddamn right. I want to see. Man, listen. They found the dude who did it. And they start passing word, man, you gonna give us our stuff back. My bad, I had to look at that camera. Some went to knocking. But anyway, they let it be known, boom, 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 boom. So now the dude who did it, of course, he got homeboys and dudes he kick with. And eventually, it took a little time, but the black thing kicked in. At first, they wasn't on it like that. They wasn't even, brothers wasn't, every man for himself. But then, you had a few militant brothers that was in there like, hold up, man, hold on. All these Mexicans, what? Boom. So now it started getting a little bit bigger. So now the group that the dude was a part of, they started negotiating. I'm thinking in my mind, oh, it's finna go. Ooh, it's finna go down. Ooh, whoa. Them Mexicans was ready though. Now let me show you something. I'm gonna say it at the end. Cooler heads prevailed. They gave them Mexicans their stuff back. All that wasn't messed off. They got a good portion of it back. Boom. In my mind, I'm like, who? I say, boy, they better mark this day right here and on the calendar. Because this day right here is the turning point. Ain't finna be no more taking and stealing nothing from them. They together. They done come together. And I know it was that Mexican dude from LA. I know he put that in them. Because it wasn't in them like that until he came. Yeah. Anyway, they end up getting the majority of the stuff back. And they pretty much put a proclamation down. They not, they didn't put it down in a way that they was like, we tough. But they put it down real humbly. Like they said, along the lines of, hey man, look, leave our people alone. We will never take anything from y'all. We will never cheat y'all. But don't take anything from us no more. We ain't going for it. And that's pretty much how it was said in so many words. But that's kind of how it was said. So now, brothers, the blacks on the yard, they looking at them a little bit different now. Like, uh-oh. But they left him alone. I ended up going home. Before I left and went home, they hadn't messed with him no more. They had finally put their foot down. I know a lot of y'all thinking that I'm finna give y'all a story on how they. Nah. They put their foot down, and the black dudes kind of respected it. Now, before you get in your mind that these cats was some super bad dudes, no, because lo and behold, you can bet your last bottom dollar, if it would have went, they would have been tore out the frame. 25 not finna whoop 200. If them brothers wanted to okay, and let it go, but then sent, strategically got all they people together and came back, they'd have smashed them. They didn't have that California mentality though. They had the Alabama mentality. So like I say, the Mexicans, if it would have went, they would have lost. Not to say they probably wouldn't have lost right then. But if them dudes would have backtracked and got all they people together and then came back at them, the Mexicans would have lost that one. But nobody was on it like that. You know what I'm saying? Dudes wanted to keep the peace, especially in this prison. This was a low-level prison. Now, that same incident could have happened in a maximum security prison in Alabama. It might have went a little different. Different dudes, different mentality. Where he was at, people could see the daylight. People see light at the end of the tunnel, and they were trying to go home. You know? So, you know, you're going to deal with a whole lot of, hey, man, get their stuff back. Homie, man, we ain't trying to, man, go get that stuff back, man. It ain't nothing. You know? And that's how that went. I know before I ended up leaving, not too long after that, I know before I left, it wasn't no more incidents. I didn't see they box getting broke in no more. None of that. You know what I'm saying? Dudes just doing their regular thing. But that's how it go, y'all, sometimes, man. Sometimes you gotta put your demo down. Sometimes you gotta make an example. Sometimes you just got to do some stuff, you know? But anyway, man, it's me. This quick story, man, on the day the Raza rose up, you know what I'm saying, in Alabama. But yeah, man, that's just that, man. I'm out of here, y'all. I represent the gangsters, homie. Peace.
Gangsta boogie, gangsta boogie, gangsta boogie, gangsta boogie. Ain't nobody gangsta boogie. 4, 2, 1, man. 4, 2, 1, man. Look.